Okay, so you guys, chapter 12 is all about reproduction. It's our theme in reproduction. So we're going to start with the most basic, which is one parent, reproducing, making offsprings, and that's called asexual reproduction. There's many ways this occurs. It is, you guys are being recorded. So, it's, looks like I got a typo there. Anyway, it's very natural for a lot of organisms, but we think always from our perspective, and that's not obviously how we reproduce. But the spider plant that we went ahead and we pulled off in my regular bio, that spider plant back there in the corner, pulled off one of its little baby clones. I actually already see roots. This was just on Tuesday. And so here's a clone of that one. And it shoots off several of these. That's just simple asexual reproduction. And that's with a eukaryote, right? A multicellular organism. So it's a way of definitely reproducing. Now a clone, like I just said, that's a clone there, that little plant, is genetically identical from its parent because there's been no mixing. Then a little bit more here, prokaryotes, they actually have some forms of sexual reproduction, even where they might share some genes, but there's conjugation, which is a form of sexual reproduction. But in general, bacteria just do binary fission. They basically split in half. They don't have the nucleus. They make sure they get their chromosome, copied, and on either side, remember, it's circular. And then remember, there's the single-celled organisms, protista, and they have, some of them do sexual reproduction, some of them just, same thing, kind of split in half, except that would be mitosis, because they're eukaryotes. And then, like I said, plants, that's like a budding technique that with the spider plant, but fragmentation, sometimes you guys use rototillers and you're trying to get rid of weeds and all you're doing is chopping up their roots or even their stems, and they're all going to regrow. So, it's just a good way to reproduce. It's easy. And even some simple animals, I'll show you a picture in a minute. I went a little bit more on the plants. It's called vegetative reproduction, when they can grow from their roots and stems and leaves and all that. It's really good for getting a thicker population, but it's not really good in dispersal and spreading out far. So there's benefits then to sexual reproduction with plants, with pollen and eggs. So there's a paramecium splitting. That's hydra, real simple, the most simplest, like anemone, a little stinging organism. And it's budding off a baby there. Planaria, maybe you've heard about, these are flatworms, so we're getting more and more complex. You could split them in half. One of the most complex animal that's an invertebrate is the starfish, thank you, echinoderms, and the sea urchins. But the starfish, which actually we're supposed to be calling them sea stars now, because they're not a fish. Anyway, if you get any part of their central nervous system is intact, then they'll regrow, right? No. Do you want us to write a letter and see if we could rename that? Okay, so no, refocus, people. So vegetative here, they're budding, and you guys can see this sometimes occur in your house. Many times you don't see good reproduction amongst your houseplants because you really don't have them in the happiest environment. They're not getting all their needs. They're barely surviving, believe it or not. Now, if you have plants that are able to bud off, make flowers, make seeds, then you're providing them with all their needs. But lots of times we don't care about that, and we just want them to live. Okay, so chromosome number is specific by the organism, by this particular species. Remember, prokaryotes, one singular chromosome, and it's a circle of DNA. And eukaryotes, it's a lot of diversity between the number of chromosomes. How many chromosomes do we have? 46. They are pairs, right? And that we are diploid. So most organisms that do sexual reproduction are diploid because they're right, they have to make the gametes. We're going to get to meiosis here, that other form of sexual that other form of cell division. So 2 of each chromosome. Now, many organisms live as haploid. Think about it. We don't need, gentlemen, we don't, in reality, to survive, why wouldn't one set of instructions be enough? Right? I mean, and many organisms do it. We don't. Mammals don't. But some insects do. You guys know about ants and bees, right? They're all males to start. That's because they're haploid. If they go through sexual reproduction, then we can get the females. So you can live as haploid. You don't have as much diversity if you're haploid. Like all those boys are going to be the same. They came from the same queen. So all those boy ants are going to be clones in reality. So gender is really interesting, and same thing with us. It seems very straightforward. We have males, females, right? But there is an in-between. And so there are some organisms that can actually switch, so they can't find a mate. So they can make offspring that are haploid, and then they grow up and develop into full organisms. Plants do this a lot. So it's all we're trying to do, all living things are trying to do is reproduce. So there's many ways of doing it successfully. Sexual reproduction makes diversity, which is good in natural selection. It's good for survival. So it works with a lot of organisms. But if you can't find a mate, you better figure out another way, because then that thing's just going to go extinct. So make sure you guys know diploid, DI like dice, right? 2 of each. Haploid, I memorized with half, HA for half the chromosomes. 1 of each set, each pair. So let's listen to this.
In sexual reproduction, 2 parents contribute chromosomes to offspring. Each parent produces haploid gametes, each of which contain half the normal number of chromosomes. A male gamete is a sperm, and a female gamete is an ovum or egg. During fertilization, male and female gametes join and the nuclei fuse. A new individual develops from a diploid fertilized egg, or zygote. The new individual has a combination of chromosomes from the 2 gametes.
And I'm pretty sure you guys are real familiar with this, but you maybe not thought on the level of this vocabulary, with the haploid and the diploid and the gametes, and that's what you guys need to go to. Now, before I go on, I kind of want to know, I need to only ask my sophomores in here, and only my sophomores that actually did a full semester of health here last class. My freshmen, I'm not pooling right now because you guys just got done with that new class and you're just starting health right now. So my sophomores that went through regular health last year, did you guys go through, I know you went through the systems, like you went through the reproductive systems of male and females, correct? And how about contraceptives?